Welcome to TroyPSilva.com, my video blog for this week. The ultimate baseball truth is what my goal is to give you guys, parents, coaches, players, every week on a regular basis, to give you guys information that's going to help you as parents, help you as coaches, help you as ball players. Make sure you check out the skills assessment stuff that I have in my website, as well as a hitting analysis and my mentoring program too as well. If you want to take advantage of that, message me, email me at troypsilva@gmail.com. This week's topic for the baseball truth is getting yourself out of mental jail. Yes, hitters these days that I work with, they're in a mental state of confinement. They're in a mental state of basically everything's wrong with my hitting. It's never a positive thing when they're at the plate. It's more of what's wrong with me all the time. So the topic this week is to give you some reasonable thoughts and ideas to get you out of that mental jail so that you can free yourself up to compete at the best level you can possibly compete at. Hitting these days is so consumed with the swing mechanics, so consumed with, hey, you got to look a certain way, that it creates this mental cluster in your brain that you just can't get in there and compete. So I'm going to give you some information, what mental jail looks like in this video, and hopefully some ways to get you out of that. So the first one, when I talk about mental jail, is doubt. So if you're a hitter and you want to compete at a high level, and you want to be really, really good, if you want to be the best hitter you can be, you can't have any doubt whatsoever in your brain. You got to know that you've put in the work. You got to know that you put in the time, the effort. You sacrifice what you've needed to sacrifice to be the best hitter you can be, and you can't doubt anything. You can't doubt your skill set at all. You can't doubt anything, anytime in the box whatsoever. So the doubt portion of this is you have to switch the doubt in your brain into confidence. That's something that's an earned trait. You can't just wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm confident today and I'm gonna go 4 for 4. It's just not the way it works. You got to earn that confidence, and the way you earn it is through success and failure. The failure is going to happen in baseball, but no matter how much failure there is, you cannot ever doubt yourself. The second thing that I want to talk about is unbelief, which kind of is the same thing about doubt. Unbelief and fear. There's a lot of fear involved in hitting these days. You know, I hear all the time with kids saying, oh, you know, this kid's so good, or this team's so good, and there's fear of like the opponent. There's fear of making a mistake at the plate. There's fear of getting out. There's fear of getting hit by the ball. There's a lot of fear involved, and that creates unbelief in your ability. So the doubt and the unbelief kind of go together. It's kind of the same thing. You need to believe that you're the best hitter on the planet every time you step in the box. Every time you step in the box, I don't care if you're 0 for your last 20, you need to truly believe that you're the best hitter in America and no one can get you out. If you don't have that mindset and you have that little bit of unbelief in your brain, you will never hit to your best ability. It goes back to the confidence portion of it. The next one is a big one too as well. It's worry. I see a lot of hitters these days that are so worried about what's going to happen if I stink. What's the coach thinking when I get out? Am I going to lose my spot? Am I going to get cut from the team if I don't go 4 for 4 this game? You can't worry about what other people think. I even see kids worrying about what their grandma thinks in the stands. It's like, you got to get in there and just compete. The worry takes over your brain to the point where you just can't get in there and just let your swing happen and let your hitting happen. There's so much worry that you can't just basically be the best competitor you can be. If you're worried about what's going to happen if you stink, you're never going to be very good at hitting, especially in baseball and softball. You're just not going to be very good at hitting at all. So the worry part is you can't worry about what the coach thinks. You can't worry about what's going to happen. Are you going to get sad? Are you going to get your place taken by somebody else? Are you going to get cut? Are you not going to make a team? Get the worry out of your head. You got to play with some fearlessness. You got to play with the attitude of, I don't care. I'm just going to go do my best and let whatever happens. So if you have that worry, you got to get rid of it. Stop thinking about worrying all the time, because now you're in there thinking about what might happen versus I'm going to go out here and dominate. The next one is a big one too as well. It's over analyzation. And these days there's a billion hitting instructors out there. Most of them shouldn't be doing it, but let me just throw that out there. But there's a billion hitting instructors out there that want to analyze this and analyze your swing and watch your swing in slow motion and look at your swing did this, and this degree right here needs to be this degree instead of this degree. It's not that technical. It's not that detailed. Most of those guys that are doing that are just trying to make themselves look good for their lack of knowledge or their ignorance of what hitting's really about. So am I saying never to evaluate your swing and look at slow motion? No, I'm just saying be careful not to be too over analytical. I see hitters these days step in the box, they go through their routine, batting gloves, deep breath, whatever, and then they're thinking, okay, don't do this, don't do that, don't step out, don't dip, don't chop, whatever it is, and they're thinking all these mechanical things, and it totally ruins the most important thing in hitting, which is get in the box with a good plan and approach, and don't let your swing thought control your brain. So the overanalyzation sometimes happens in the actual approach and plan too as well. I see a coach goes, hey, let the ball travel, let the ball get deep, this guy throws slow, blah blah blah. And it's not bad to have a plan and approach, but make your plan and approach simple. Don't make it too overwhelming. Don't let it be too overanalytical, because that just creates this mental cluster again in your brain of trying to do everything too perfect. And that's kind of the overall, I guess, the mental jail part of the overanalyzation is you try to create this perfection. You try to create this perfect swing. You try to step in the box creating a perfect swing versus a perfect adjustment or a perfect hitting. There's difference. So you got to be careful about just not even thinking about your swing in a game. It's like I tell our kids all the time, you don't think about your swing in a game one bit. Pre-game maybe, after the game maybe, batting practice maybe, but in the game it's all about, can you make an adjustment to the pitcher without letting your swing get involved. So the other thing too is you're in there with this perfection mindset, and that leads into the next one of you have unrealistic expectations. As a hitter, if you have unrealistic expectations, you're so in mental jail, it's unbelievable. You think you should get a hit every time. You think you should be batting 600. You think that you should hit every ball hard. All those things right there just create this mental cluster, because you can't just get in there and just compete and let it happen. I had a kid one time do a lesson the other day. He was 20 for 20 in a row line drives, and he's mad because he popped one up on the next one. And he was so pissed off and angry that it totally controlled his brain. His next round stunk, and he couldn't even just get in there and just flush it and let it get over. You're gonna get out in hitting. Pitchers, believe it or not, make good pitches sometimes, and you get out. Sometimes you don't square the ball up. That's called hitting. You can't dwell on that, and most importantly, you can't be unrealistic about that should never happen to me. It happens to everybody. Everybody has that when it comes to hitting. So be careful with the expectations and the results. I mean, we want to be results oriented. We want to set goals. We want to set a high standard for what we're trying to do, but be realistic of what you're doing too as well. So the other thing too is just be realistic of who you really are. I think there's kids these days have this unrealistic opinion of how good they are. It's like they think they're this level when they're not. It's like, know who you are, know what you're good at, and do what you're supposed to do. And if it doesn't happen, then get over it, flush it, and get over it. So those are the main things when it comes to this mental jail that I see with kids these days. The idea behind this is to be aware of it. The idea behind this is to try to battle it and to figure out a way that works for you individually, to not let yourself go through those things. The doubt, the worry, the fear, the unbelief, the high expectations, the over-analytics, all those things, you can't let them creep in at all during your at-bats. So if you create this mental jail for yourself, it's going to be hard for you to compete. So you got to create a mental freedom. The freedom just to play. The freedom to smile. You know how many times I go out to games and kids aren't even smiling? They're so mad they're 2 for 3 and they got out one time. It's like, smile, enjoy the game. What's wrong with going 2 for 3? Oh, I had a bad tournament, I was 5 for 10. Bad tournament? What are you talking about? 5 for 10, and I hit the ball hard 3 times. What are you talking about? It's called hitting. So smile a little bit. Have some mental freedom. Don't get in there thinking about being perfect. Don't get in there thinking about your swing all the time. Don't go back to the dugout thinking negative thoughts. I'm tired of negative thoughts in the dugout. Negative thoughts are, hey, what did I do wrong with my swing? Oh, I did this, I did that. Everything's wrong all the time. Stop thinking wrong thoughts and get in there and think positive thoughts. And if you get out, look at the pitcher on the way back to the dugout and say, you got lucky. I'm coming at you next time. Don't bring that weak pitch again. And that's the mental freedom that you need to compete at the highest level you want to compete at. Go get it.